Welcome to this webinar by Nimble titled Expanding Beyond Your Core ERP with Rise with SAP, Use Cases and Insights. I am Dan Ivanoff, Regional Sales Director at Nimble, and today I'm joined by Nathan Williams, who leads our development and innovation practice, and Gabe Menching, who is our ERP expert. Together, we will explore how businesses can make the very best of their core ERP with Rise with SAP. Now, let's get started. A brief intro of who Nimble really is. Nimble is a global company which is actually able to provide a very niche offering, which is provide a global perspective, but at a local level. So we pride ourselves, and this is how we differentiate ourselves from our competitors, with delivering projects at a location where the project is actually taking place. So we're able to leverage the experience of over 2,200 people worldwide in over 20 offices, but we're delivering everything with a local touch. One thing that I actually like to share is that we always employ a two-pizza team. A two-pizza team is what? It's a team that you can only feed with 2 pizzas. So we're not going to come in and do these transformations with 30 people. We will come in and do it with the right resources that make sense for you and your business. And what we've been able to do with that is to maintain a strong selection of clients year over year with a 100% strategic client retention, and that is reflected in our double-digit growth since 2004. There's a snapshot of a few clients that we're particularly proud of, though that list does not stop there. So enough about Nimble. We're here to talk about S/4HANA, and we're here to talk about Rise with SAP. So a brief overview of what S/4HANA is. Now, we're not here to talk to you about ERP. Most of you know what an ERP solution is and what it's used for, though we did want to highlight briefly what SAP's direction is with S/4HANA. Now, over the past 45 years, and even a little longer than that, SAP has been on a journey with customers to help them create value for their organizations by applying technology to solve some of their most complex and unique challenges. With over 77% of the world's transactions touching SAP technology and all of the SAP solutions, it is SAP's clear responsibility to ensure that as the market leader, Core ERP always meets the 21st century requirements that their businesses drive. Cue in SAP S/4HANA. It is the next generation ERP, which was launched right around beginning of 2015. So it is by no stretch of the imagination a brand new tool, though it is the continuation of decades and decades of experience with, for those of you who are familiar with some of the previous SAP products, starting with SAP R2, moving to R3, moving on to ERP or Engineering Central Component or ECC 6.0. And now we have the latest and greatest version, which is SAP S/4HANA. At the end of the day, we don't need to get into the very technical advantages of the tool, or at least I won't. I know Gabe and Nathan will. Though what I want to highlight is that S/4HANA supports digital transformation at its core. So on this slide, I have highlighted a few examples of clients who have taken advantage of that offering. And you can see that you are not alone to take this journey. There are over 13,000 clients who have committed to move to S4 and 3,700 already live. A lot of the benefits that can be achieved by moving to S/4HANA are highlighted here, though that's not where it stops. And we'll be happy to follow up with any additional win stories or just stories and journeys in general of how clients have been able to realize value through this tool. Apart from S4, the main thing that we're here to talk about, though, is Rise with SAP. What it can do to your business and how it can support you going into 22 and beyond. So what exactly is Rise with SAP? From my perspective, Rise with SAP is the easiest way that a company in today's day and age can move to a tier 1, or if you want to call it enterprise grade ERP solution. It bundles not only the software, but also the infrastructure component of an ERP deployment. It also bundles in a slew of additional services, which is what Nathan and Gabe will be talking to us about. In a nutshell, it allows companies to partner with a sole company, with SAP, to combine everything under one roof. Throughout the presentation today, you will see a little bit more of each one of these areas, meaning the business process intelligence that comes with the tool, the business network that you have access to, and also the business technology platform that is bundled in with all of these offerings. So with that introduction, I'm going to speak with Nathan next around some of the business and digital transformation possibilities that RISE with SAP can offer. So Nathan, we've just touched on the transformation possibilities that RISE can offer. Although companies are often thinking about the bigger picture. They're looking at the value realized through ERP in the very long term. What are some of the short and medium term benefits that RISE can offer?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. And that's a great question. And in order to call out or identify the benefits, I think it's important to consider the challenges that organizations often face when going through a digital transformation. There's an incredibly diverse and dynamic landscape at hand, right? And there's a lot of choices for organizations to make, from hyperscalers to platforms. The second is there's a lot of data volume. The data volume is immense. And one of the key challenges in carrying out that vision for an intelligent enterprise is really increasing the usability and being able to create value from that data. And then you mentioned innovation. So the last challenge I'll touch on is in the digital era, and especially amongst COVID-19, there's a race to innovate, and there's a race to remain competitive in the digital era, and also to compete with companies that might have been born digital. So as part of RISE with SAP, SAP provides the business technology platform that was designed and developed to address these challenges head on. So the immediate benefit is that SAP is providing a platform so customers can remain focused on those transformation activities. So to be successful in these activities, you need connectivity across SAP systems and third-party systems. You need a way to store, aggregate, and interpret data. And you also need a unified and modern user experience so that business users can perform their jobs effectively and efficiently. So these are all things that the business technology platform does within a RISE for SAP offering. So you're able to remain focused and quickly establish the framework needed in order to build out your digital innovation strategy.
Now, you mentioned the business technology platform as a key driver to propel innovation. Can you elaborate a little bit further on the role the business technology platform in the context of RISE?
Sure, yeah, and just to take a quick step back and maybe define business technology platform a little further. So BTP, it's an infrastructure, and it's a set of solutions that provides a bunch of different capabilities to help customers achieve business value through rapid continual innovation. So you could think about RISE with SAP as a concierge service, right, to the intelligent enterprise. And the strategy to reach the vision of the intelligent enterprise involves integrating both data and processes. So BTP serves as that technical foundational layer to achieve just that, giving companies access to applications and innovative technologies that give them full insights into their operations and enables them to turn their data into value. And these capabilities span application development and integration, database and data management, analytics, as well as intelligent technologies.
So Nathan, how would customers go about unlocking the value of these capabilities on day one? Are there additional licenses or steps that need to be considered?
Sure, great question. So the RISE with SAP offering includes access to BTP capabilities that you can use on day one and without any additional licenses. And as you alluded to earlier, Rise with SAP is all about simplifying your services by providing a single offer and a single contract. So BTP is part of Rise with SAP, which falls under that contract. And with BTP, you're given a certain number of consumption credits called Cloud Platform Enterprise Agreement credits that you can use to access over 70 different services. So you can build integrations, you can build extensions, or you can use intelligent technologies. So there's machine learning, intelligent robotic process engineering, or even AI in order to automate your business. And these are the intelligent technologies that are really changing the way that we live and work and fueling that innovation. So the minimum and maximum number of these credits really depends on whether you're a public or private cloud, as well as kind of the overall size of the opportunity, right? But essentially you could think about it like a wallet, right? On day one, your wallet is filled with credits and you can spend them however you see fit. There's complete flexibility. If your wallet becomes empty or you use all your consumption credits, you can refill it or buy more based on your contract. So, and the strategy behind this is not only to make the commercial offering much simpler, but also provide an offering that's business-centric and also very customer-oriented.
So on the notion of these credits, how would you recommend that a customer utilizes those if they're looking to innovate quickly? Any recent use cases or examples you can share?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, one specific component that can be leveraged within SAP's within the business technology platforms toolkit is intelligent robotic process automation, or RPA. This service is a great option for customers to use some of those credits right out of the gate to immediately start innovating. Right. This RPA is a solution that automates manual tasks in business processes, so you're able to achieve much more efficiency and ultimately lower costs. So automating manual tasks improves quality, it reduces bottlenecks, it provides faster execution of business processes, and of course it reduces errors caused by humans. So RPA is a ready business case that provides free packaged content so you can create and deploy custom bots in a very short period of time. And the cool thing about BTP is it provides a low code and no code cloud studio. So the time to value can be just a few short weeks, depending on how many bots are created and how extensive your use case is. So you can use your consumption credits to also consume ready to use or pre-built bots across multiple core processes. So recently, a use case we for a Rise with SAP offering, we deployed standard bots and custom bots. So with regards to a standard bot, when the customer or gets paid by their customers, that's when they pay their vendors. So we use bots to monitor, to see the incoming payments from customers, and once those payments were processed, then the customer would go and process those payments for vendors. So this was a manually intensive process across multiple transactions and multiple steps that we were able to quickly deploy a standard bot to automate. We also, due to the low code and no code environment, we're able to quickly develop a custom bot for the time transfer process. So transferring the time that employees have logged onto a particular project, they would log that in a standard application, managers would approve or reject it, and all of that would get consolidated into a specific format, right? So all of that activity and all the approvals and rejections were automated by that custom bot. So that's one specific use case with RPA that was rather quick to stand up and very efficient.
That's very cool. It's fascinating. Gabe, I wanted to ask you a question more on the ERP on the implementation side. So as we all know, the rigorous process of implementing, especially implementing a tier 1 ERP solution, those processes are very well documented. And sometimes they're scary. Many organizations put it off as much as possible, often to the point of running obsolete hardware or running unsupported versions of their current ERP. So from your perspective, what do businesses need to know about implementing Rise with SAP?
So one of the key features of Rise with SAP is one that you touched on, and that's the infrastructure piece that's all hosted in the cloud on a supported hyperscaler. And And that infrastructure and the underlying operating system database and even a level of the application layer is all managed by SAP. And so that takes a lot of the burden off of the customer. And also SAP in coordination with your implementation partner, they're going to get everything provisioned and connected without any impact to the customer. And so this differed kind of from the traditional on-premise model where customers might be provisioning their servers, their operating system databases, and supporting all that while the vendor is installing the various applications to support the project. And so this is all changed where SAP is taking all that, and they kind of have a templated approach where these things are provisioned rather quickly. And when we talk about things outside of the core of S/4HANA that we're going to talk about, like the business networks and such, that all of these integrations are all connected by SAP to no impact to the customer. And so another aspect of the RISE program that kind of helps ease some of that burden that customers may have faced from previous ERP implementation would be with SAP RISE is the SAP Learning Hub. So this is a tool that's going to help organizations get a jump start on their learning and their solution-specific learning journeys that are going to focus on common use cases. And this is in both technical and functional areas. And this is designed to help these organizations navigate kind of the path to success with RISE with SAP. And these are going to cover S/4HANA as well as other applications that are going to be implemented as part of the project that we've talked about. So these two aspects are key to help ease some of that pain from previous ERP implementation experiences.
So you touched on this earlier, but shifting to the value-added services included with RISE, a few of those key offerings that are bundled are the Ariba, Asset Intelligence, and the Logistics Business Networks. Gabe, could you share some insights into what these networks are and what are some of the advantages that they offer to future S/4HANA users?
Absolutely. These networks offer tremendous value to these customers. The Ariba network is going to give customers configuration of predefined procure-to-pay documents, and it's going to give them electronic integration with their vendors, purchase orders, confirmations, invoices, and it's also going to improve purchasing accuracy and improve cycle times, also giving mobile access for vendors. Next is the SAP Asset Intelligence Network, and this is a cloud-based IoT Internet of Things application that's integrated with the SAP Business Technology Platform, BTP, that Nathan was speaking to previously. And the goal of this network is to kind of maintain a global registry of equipment using common definitions. And these definitions are then shared between multiple business partners, such as manufacturers, OEMs, operators, service providers, all to deliver a new collaborative business model. And this results ultimately in a standardized equipment management, streamline maintenance, collaborative design and execution, and collaborative network services for managing equipment and collecting asset performance analysis and things of that nature. And so next is the SAP Logistics Business Network. And this is a network that connects business partners for intercompany collaboration and transparency. And it supports a large set of capabilities that allow customers to manage freight more efficiently and benefit from situational awareness through track and trace capabilities and creating a trust chain for up and downstream product genealogy. And this intelligent insights option helps you increase supply chain resilience as well.
That is definitely not the SAP of yesterday. So very, very cool. Thank you. From your perspective, I wanted to ask you a question that's kind of rooted in Nimble's experience. So we are currently taking several clients through a full digital transformation, leveraging RISE with SAP. And Gabe, you having worked on projects like this for years, can you share some of the advantages, the shortcuts, or even just the lessons learned as compared to a traditional ERP implementation, of how that would be different, or better, challenging, whatever it may be, versus doing the same process with RISE with SAP?
Absolutely. So traditionally, these ERP implementations were all implemented in a single system. You had your ERP system, and that was able to deliver all the end-to-end business processes. And this is still possible today. Yet what we've been talking about is products that we've discussed today that are delivered by SAP that help take this a step further. And these are outside of the core ERP system, and they're delivered in the cloud. And so they're constantly being upgraded and updated and offering new features and functionality. And it gives that, because they're in the cloud, it gives it the ability to constantly innovate these applications. And so a lot of these have also predefined configurations and have best practices packages associated with them to help them quickly get implemented as part of the implementation project. And so when we talk about ERP applications that would stay stagnant and not be upgraded, not be patched because of whatever capabilities that weren't met or infrastructure that wasn't being met, RISE gives the opportunity, because it's in the cloud, the ability to stay up to date, to innovate and continually upgrade your systems.
And then, having worked with a number of industries, can RISE with SAP be applied to any industry?
Absolutely. The short answer is yes, it can. And RISE with SAP is applicable to any SAP customer, regardless of industry. And there are actually some accelerators from various partners for specific industries as well. And at the same time, some customers, however, in different industries will benefit in different ways. For instance, one of our consumer packaged goods customers was able to leverage one of the features of the logistics business network. And that feature is called freight logistics and freight logistics collaboration. So this is a tool that supports shippers in their collaboration with 3PL providers. And it gives them the ability to manage transactions jointly and share insights across the value chain, and being able to oversee the complete freight order and life cycle and manage the appointments. And so you can see how this could be applicable to some industries, but maybe not others for this specific use case.
And kind of a follow-up question on that, which I know comes up a lot. There is the notion that SAP is only used for very large scale deployments, for very complex environments. So on that note, how does RISE and specifically SAP best practices work for some of those extremely specialized and customized requirements?
Yeah, the key differentiator of RISE compared to previous S/4HANA cloud offerings is that existing SAP customers today that have customized on-premise implementations, they're able to now move those systems, including the customizations, to SAP RISE and take advantage of all the benefits we've talked about today. Previously, these customers would have to go through what's called a greenfield re-implementation project. And so now these customers can bring over those systems that they already have a big investment on and bring that over into the SAP RISE with S/4HANA program and utilize all the tools and the capabilities that we've talked about today. Now for new customers that require some specialized requirement, these can also still be addressed by moving to S/4HANA as part of RISE, as RISE can be applied to both a public and private S/4HANA version. And so the public having more of a standardized approach with less capabilities, and the private version where we have more capabilities to implement more functionality and potentially customize the system as we see fit.
Got it. Thank you. And actually, the follow-up question from that, whenever we talk about cloud, whenever we talk about public cloud even, there's the inherent shock of, oh, what about security and compliance? So from a security and compliance standpoint, what are some of the advantages of going with RISE with SAP?
So from a security and compliance standpoint, SAP has gone a long way with the RISE offering. So they have 24/7 security monitoring centers, and they're auditing, from the time of the implementation. They have external auditors that are going to audit the implementation as well as perform periodic security reviews. Also, for anybody that's doing any operational access, there's multi-factor authentication. There's all these security measures are going to be audited and confirmed through various ISO and SOC certifications. And also they go a step further where there are network intrusion prevention systems set up with third-party ethical hackers that perform these external penetration tests. So there's third-party organizations with external hackers that are hired to actually perform these penetration tests against your system, and so they're able to identify any exploits, any threats that may be out there.
So with that, I think we're able to get a pretty high level understanding of what RISE is. So thank you, Nathan, and thank you, Gabe. And for our audience out there, I hope that this was a short but clear summary of what some of the advantages of RISE with SAP are, and why, per my note earlier, there's never been an easier and more effective and efficient way to move into a tier 1 ERP. Now, as this is not an open forum, we did want to synthesize a lot of the questions that we get in conversations with clients into one question for Gabe and one question for Nathan. So the most common question that we get that Gabe answers usually is around client staffing and support needs for a project like this. So Gabe, when I'm speaking with clients, usually one of the most common things is, look, we understand that this is going to be a big investment on our end, and this may either delay a project, or this may even put a ton of risk that organization wasn't planning or willing to take on. So from your perspective, how does this differ from a typical ERP implementation when it comes to the load on the IT or business folks that are at the client?
So, from the aspect of SAP taking on all of the infrastructure piece and provisioning of systems from that IT perspective, a lot of, if not the majority of the responsibility and stress that goes into setting up these systems and getting them configured is all taking off of the organization, the customers, and SAP gets this all provisioned for us and gives us the system. And then a step later, SAP best practices can be provisioned within these systems, and companies can see if they can adapt to SAP best practices business processes. And this will greatly help the implementation of S/4HANA as part of this. And the fact that the different business networks that we've talked about, BTP, the various functionality within BTP is all provisioned as part of the RISE offering from SAP. And so at the same time, your training needs for getting all of your users trained up on this new ERP platform will all be delivered as part of the SAP Learning Hub and other training tools that are offered as part of RISE to help ease the burden of that to the organization.
Nathan, similar to that, do you find that defining an approach for BTP has different impacts for the IT team versus the business team?
Sure. So based on our experience at Nimble, there's really two different approaches when it comes to leveraging BTP throughout a RISE with SAP offering. The first is what we refer to as the classical extension approach, which is going to have more of an impact and focus on the IT team. This approach is centered around activating the add-ons needed in order to establish a harmonized data management layer, or even build out integrations between SAP or third-party systems. And to be clear, with BTP, there's not necessarily an absolute dichotomy between the IT and business, because at the end of the day, all of the BTP components work together to turn data into business value. But the initial building blocks of certain components are going to involve our IT counterparts a little bit more. The other approach we see is a more modern and innovation-led approach, where we can leverage BTP to solve strategic business challenges. And the focus here is directly on innovation and business value, and therefore has a more direct impact on the business. And with an innovation-led approach, we see shorter development cycles and more opportunities for continuous expansion. And with BTP's intelligent technologies and open platform, we're able to talk about problems and challenges first with the business teams as the audience. At Nimble, we refer to this as art of the possible, where we go through design thinking and we go through what if scenarios. So how could you provide a better experience and service to your customers? What would allow you to gain a competitive advantage against your competition? And then after we answer those questions, we can evaluate and assess a multitude of capabilities within BTP to select from where and how can we solution that art of the possible, and then rapidly develop an application or set of applications that solve business challenges and quickly provide business value.
Thank you all for attending Nimble's webinar, where we hope we were able to show you how Rise with SAP allows you to expand beyond your core ERP. Thank you to Nathan, and thank you, Gabe, for joining us and sharing your perspectives and insights. Please make sure that you leave your feedback and check out the attachment section for further resources. Thanks again.